I'm really pretty excited to get started. Thank you for braving the rain and everything. I'm Steve Hilton, Goldfields District Superintendent. Thanks for being out there. We really appreciate that and making an effort. Hopefully people took the time to read the plan. I think it's a really good plan. I'm not a big fan of plans, so to hear that code for me is a big thing. I think we took a lot of the comments and statements that we've been hearing from folks, and they're in the plan. And I think we really went above and beyond. Ascent did a great job. The park here has done a great job. A lot of district support too. It's very impressive, and I think that we put in most of the things that I heard. And it to me, the plan's wide open enough that we have a lot of opportunities, and it doesn't really handcuff us a whole lot for the future. And I was just talking to Peter. I just came down White Rock Road and Prairie City Road from Folsom. I cannot believe how crowded it was already. When there's more homes going in south of 15, it's really going to get crowded. And I think part of our big thing that we're going to face in the future is non-park users, non-Prairie City users, what they think we do with it. And I think that we really need to acknowledge that, and I think we have in this plan. I think we have some ideas on how we can make those people that are moving in that don't know it yet, that are either going to be OHV enthusiasts like some of us, or they're going to be park users like everybody else. And I really think that we have parts of this plan really make that possibility. So I'm really excited about it. I know that the park is really excited about it. And you guys are all here to brave the weather, so you guys are excited about it too, I hope. I'm going to turn it over to Peter, and we're going to go through a little presentation, and then we're going to have time to talk. So thanks everybody again for coming in.
Great. Thanks, Steve. Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Peter Jones. I'm the sector manager here, and I want to thank everybody for coming out, especially on a rainy, kind of cold, dreary night, but we appreciate it. Just a couple little housekeeping things. We do have restrooms. They're outside. You got to go out the front door, make a left. There's restrooms out there. On the other side of the wall where Steve's standing right here, we have some refreshments. So there's drinks and some snacks and stuff like that if you get hungry. And first thing I'm going to do is kind of go over the agenda. So who's the one that has like technical problems?
Could be just the arrow key.
Nah, it's not doing much for me. Yeah, there is the space bar.
Here we go.
All right. Back in action. Okay, so agenda, we're going to do some welcome introductions. I'm going to introduce the staff that's here tonight, and we're going to talk about the road and trail management plan overall, what it is and how it works, the planning process and the schedule up to this point and moving forward. We're going to go over the road and trail management plan recommendations for the park, kind of point out some of the bigger recommendations that have come about from input that we've had from the public up to this point. We're going to talk about next steps in the plan moving forward. And then at the end, we're going to break into some small groups and kind of get into some more detailed discussions and be asking specifically about comments on the plan and some of the ideas that are in there. So what I want to do also quickly is just kind of introduce the people that are in here for parks as well as Ascent, our consulting team. And I don't expect you to remember everyone's names or anything. That's why we've got name tags on. But starting with Mackenzie Boring, she's one of our environmental scientists here. She's at a table over there. Taylor Espenshade, environmental scientist. Jolene Ocello, she is our park interpreter. Tony Gooseman, supervising ranger in the hallway. Jason Spann, he is with strategic planning and headquarters. Noel, also from headquarters, strategic planning services, and Sammy Reyes also. So they've been helping from outside the staff that works in this park and the district, and then we have help from headquarters. And then I want to introduce you to some folks from Ascent, who is our consultants on this project. They've been helping kind of guide this process. So we have Adam Ladowski, and we've got Jessica Mitchell somewhere. There she is. Paul Kronzer and Angela Kermouche. Over here. Thank you. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so the meeting purpose is going to be to provide an update on the RTMP process, RTMP being the Road and Trail Management Plan. We're going to gather feedback on the proposed recommendations. We're going to solicit input on any new recommendations. So you guys tell us if we missed something or something should be in there that's not. And then at the end of the presentation, we're going to answer questions. We're going to break into smaller groups where everyone will have an opportunity to ask any questions they have and also make comments on these cards that we have and post-it notes. And we do ask that after the presentation, you kind of hold your questions until these group discussions. And some of us will be kind of roving, going around all the tables, so you have an opportunity to talk to everybody. Let's see what else I think that pretty much covers everything. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Taylor Espenshade, who is going to go into the presentation and provide some additional details.
All right, thank you, Peter. So my name's Taylor Espenshade, environmental scientist here at Prairie City. I am acting as kind of the point of contact person for the process at the park level.
She's being modest. She's
Oh.
project manager
At the park level. So I'm super excited to be a part of this planning team. I'm really excited about this plan and looking forward to all the new opportunities that it's going to provide to you all as park users. So really quickly, I'm going to give you all just a very quick, brief explanation of what the role of this plan is and kind of what it's going to provide for the park. So the Road and Trail Management Plan, or the RTMP for short, it's a lot easier to say than Road and Trail Management Plan. It's a comprehensive planning document that's looking at the park's existing system of roads and trails, and it's providing a detailed direction to guide the long-term management, operation, and development of the trail system within the park. And what it's doing is basically taking a look at the goals and guidelines from the Prairie City general plan that was adopted back in 2016. And it's going to provide some direct recommendations to implement those goals and guidelines and put them into action. So specifically, the plan is going to look at identifying new trails and recreational opportunities within the park. One of the big ones we're looking at in this plan is looking at the Yosten and Nez properties that we've acquired semi-recently, and taking a look at the types of trails and what types of recreational opportunities we want to see in those areas. So that's a huge one. Very excited about that. It's also going to address the future of our non-system trails. So taking a look at and giving recommendations for how we want to address those non-system trails within the park. Whether it be adopting them into the official trail system, or maybe we'll want to reevaluate and redesign those trails, kind of looking at supporting sustainable long-term uses within those trails. Of course, that will all involve more public input later on as the time comes. The plan is also going to allow us to look at changing use types within each zone, depending on vehicle circulation, connectivity, safety, etc. We're also going to look at identifying trailhead facility improvements, like adding additional parking or additional restrooms, potentially camping. We're also going to look at educational and interpretive needs, such as adding additional wayfinding signs, educational programs, interpretive signage, all that good stuff. And we're going to be doing all this while keeping in mind and protecting our natural and cultural resources. So an important thing to note about this plan is that it's a higher level, kind of more broad planning document that doesn't contain specific project level detail. So that being said, when the plan is adopted, we're not going to be able to go out immediately and do these project level plans. That's going to require some more project level planning, CEQA, a lot more public input. So keep that in mind. Planning process and schedule. So right now we are in that yellow box right here. We currently have the public draft plan available for public review on our website. That's up there and available for review until February 8th. We're here in our second public meeting, And next big milestone in the process is going to be this spring or summer when we take your guys' comments on this draft plan and release our revised plan and our environmental analysis, at which point there's going to be another review and comment period for you guys. And then we will have our final plan available in the fall of 2024. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Adam, who is going to go over some more of the plan recommendations.
All right, and you know, I wanted to thank everybody again for coming out. I know we've thanked you all already. We've thanked you all already, but you know, your input really is important to this process. You all use this park, you know it, and so getting your thoughts, your feedback is really going to be critical to making this a successful plan. As Taylor mentioned, we've had a couple of different events so far to get public input. We had a workshop like this back in August. We've had a couple kind of pop-up events at the El Dorado Hills Farmers Market, at the Visitor Appreciation Day out here in October, and we had an online survey that was open this summer. So we've got a lot of feedback so far. And it covered a whole different range of topics, you know, lots of different issues and topics, but there were a couple of themes that came up and over and over again in a lot of different comments. There's a lot of interest in expanding the motocross practice track, a lot of concerns about safety, with too many different types of vehicles using the same trails. So some comments about monitoring the use of side-by-sides, looking at potentially separating different types of uses, maybe requiring vehicle flags and other approaches to improve safety. Also, a lot of comments about improving trail maintenance and making sure there's enough funding and staffing to maintain the tracks and the trails. We also heard a lot of interest from folks that wanted to see mountain biking and e-bike opportunities in parts of the park that aren't open for motorized recreation. And then another interesting thing is that, we learned most visitors to the park live nearby. So it's really a community serving park that, people live nearby, come here over and over again and know the park really well. So we took all that feedback and we prepared a draft road and trail management plan. There's a copy of it here. It's on the website as well. And as Steve said, we tried to incorporate as much of that input as we can. This slide just shows kind of the table of contents or the key sections of the plan, and just to help kind of orient you as you're reviewing the plan. We do hope that you read through the whole thing. It has an executive summary and introduction that really kind of gives the background, the context, and overview of the plan. Section 2 just talks about the process for developing the plan. Section 3 talks about the existing conditions, describes what's out here on the ground today. Sections 4 and 5 kind of go through more of the standard designations and classifications and best management practices that apply to parks within or to trails within a state park. And then section 6 is really the heart of the plan. That includes all the recommendations, any proposed changes. So again, I'd recommend you read through the entire plan, provide thoughts on any part of it. But if you want to just kind of cut right to the chase and see where the recommendations and the changes are proposed, you can skip right to section 6 for that. And so that section 6 of the plan has a lot of different recommendations. Some of them apply kind of more broadly to the whole park. Some of them apply to specific zones or specific activities. And again, they cover a whole range of topics, but most of the major changes that are proposed in the plan fall into one of these 8 categories that are shown here. They deal with opportunities for motorized recreation in what we used to call Yost and Inez property. We're calling those zone 5 and 6 now in the plan. They deal with overnight camping, expanding the motocross practice track. They also look at the process for addressing informal user-created trails in zones 2, 3, and 4, and also includes some recommendations about changing which types of vehicles can be used in certain areas. And then there's a number of recommendations that deal with non-motorized access in those parts of the park that aren't open for motorized access. So hiking in the vernal pool management areas, mountain bike access, and then access points. How do you get to those non-motorized access sites? So I'll talk through each of these topics in a little bit more detail. And really the biggest opportunity that we have in this plan are the two new zones, Zone 5 and Zone 6, which aren't already open for public use. And so the plan proposes opening both of these for motorized use. In Zone 5, up here, kind of near the main entrance, the plan proposes opening that for ATV and 4x4 use, except for a buffer area kind of near the road on the northern and the western side of that zone. In Zone 6, the plan proposes to open that up for motorcycle, trials motorcycle, ATV, and ROV or side-by-side use. And that would include a directional ROV trail or series of trails near the middle of that zone. That could include jumps and other features to kind of give that more higher speed experience. And then around the perimeter of that, an ATV and motorcycle trail or series of trails. So you could have all those uses in that same zone, but not necessarily all using the same trails. Right now, there aren't opportunities for overnight camping in the park, except during specific special events. And, that makes it hard for people that want to come up and spend a weekend here camping, or maybe somebody that wants to drive from a little further and spend a few days riding. So the plan proposes allowing camping in 4 different locations shown here. One is at the existing main staging area. The other is at the 4x4 staging area in Zone 4. And then the others are at 2 new proposed staging areas, one in Zone 5 and one in Zone 6. Each of these would have restrooms, showers, picnic tables, shade ramadas, and they could be used for day use staging or for overnight camping on a first come, first served basis. We also heard a lot of interest in people that wanted to see the motocross practice track expanded. That's really one of the most heavily used features here. It gets a lot of use. And so the plan proposes to expand it to the east of the current track. And so that would give a little more capacity for people on that track, expand the track a little bit more. It might require rerouting some of those trails that are outside of the motocross track nearby. And we did look at the size of this and kind of looking at the constraints around it. We're looking at expanding it as large as we can without getting into the real steep topography or the sediment bases or the other constraints around that area. Another thing, the road and trail management plan needs to be consistent with the general plan. And the general plan identified most of zones 2, 3, and 4 as route and trail system use areas. And so that means that vehicles need to be on designated trails only. And so in these areas, we do have quite a few of informal trails, kind of user created trails that pop up over time. And so the plan needs to identify a process for addressing these informal trails, figuring out what to do with them. Some of these could be adopted as formal trails. Some of them might be decommissioned and closed down. Others might need to be rerouted and then adopted. And in some cases, we might want to add new trails. And so the road and trail management plan won't go through each individual informal trail and make a decision on it because those are always changing. New ones pop up here and there, but it'll define criteria that'll be used to determine what to do with these informal trails and a process for looking at these on a case-by-case basis. And that's one of the things we want to get your input on is, what criteria should be considered when we look at these individual informal trails to decide what to do with them. So in these same zones, 2, 3, and 4, one of the things that we've heard is a lot of concern about safety issues with too many different types of vehicles on the same trails. Zones 2 and 3 on the bottom part of the map here highlighted are right now open for motorcycle, trials motorcycles, ATVs, and ROVs. And these 2 zones have some of the best motorcycle and ATV terrain in the park. And we heard concerns from people that there really aren't a lot of trails that are just for motorcycles and ATV. We also heard concerns from people that there's safety issues with ROVs on those same trails. and you have, people going different speeds and the potential for accidents and conflicts. So the plan recommends managing zones 2 and 3 for motorcycle and ATV use only. And so that would eliminate, the use of ROVs or side-by-sides in those 2 zones, but that would be made up for by allowing ROVs to access the pit area in kind of in the center of the park there as part of zone 4, as well as providing new ROV access in zone 6. And then these changes would be timed so that the new areas are opened up before any uses are closed in the existing zone. So the idea is to, to provide more access, not less, to open new areas before anything is closed to a particular use. Zone 4, the top one that's highlighted right there, is open for 4x4s, ROVs, and trials motorcycles right now. And we've heard that can lead to some safety issues when you have slower moving trials motorcycles in the same areas as faster moving vehicles. And so the plan proposes to close the 4x4 track and open area for trials motorcycles. They could still use the obstacle course, but they wouldn't be on the track in the open area. But then that would be offset by providing new trials motorcycle terrain in zone 6. And just like with the ROVs, the new terrain would be open before the other areas of zone 4 are closed to trials motorcycles. We also heard a lot of interest from people that want to see mountain biking in the park. And so the plan proposes to allow mountain biking in zone 5 in the buffer area near White Rock Road, kind of right near the main entrance, and also in zone 6 in an area around the edge of that zone. These areas would be open to both regular mountain bikes and e-bikes. And in zone 5 in particular, we're looking at potentially including some mountain bike facilities like dirt jumps, a BMX course, maybe a kids track or strider bike track, and pump tracks. And then we also have 2 vernal pool management areas. These are areas that are closed to motorized use because to protect sensitive natural resources. So the plan proposes to allow hiking in those areas. That can include building things like low impact trails, boardwalks, an observation platform, and some interpretive materials, educational signage, that sort of thing. And so these the mountain biking and the hiking use would be proposed in these these buffer areas around the side. These are areas that aren't open for OHV use because of either natural resource concerns or because of dust and noise mitigation in that buffer. But with allowing that non-motorized use, the plan also proposes to create 4 new non-motorized access points in the areas kind of generally shown with the red circle there. These would each have a fee station, some parking facilities nearby. And the idea here is to allow the non-motorized users to come right in and directly access the non-motorized areas around the edge of the park without having more people coming in through the main entrance and then driving through the motorized areas in the middle of the park to get to those non-motorized areas on the edge. This would also allow neighbors people that live nearby to hop on the bike paths that are either constructed already or the ones that are planned, and even bike from their neighborhoods right into the park to get to those non-motorized access areas. So that's some of the main changes in a nutshell. Our next steps, as Taylor mentioned, we've got the plan on the website. We want everybody to review, provide comments. We're hoping to get all comments by February 8th. And then we're going to take those, review them all. We'll respond to the comments and we'll consider all of those and update the plan. And then in late spring, early summer, we'll release a revised draft of the plan along with an environmental document. And then there'll be a separate comment period on that this summer. So still, more opportunities to weigh in now and on the next draft of the plan. So what we'd like to do now is to, at the tables that we're already sitting at, have some more smaller group discussions. We've got staff and we have facilitators at each table, and want to hear your thoughts on the plan, what you like, what you don't like, what's missing. You can see there's some kind of ground rules on the screen here. Just kind of keep in mind that you may be sitting with people that have different viewpoints, and everybody's viewpoint's valid. Let's try to be creative. If you do see a problem with the park right now, or you see a problem with the plan, try to come up with solutions and try to be solution oriented, and try to keep time in mind so that everybody has a chance to speak. Folks are handing out a feedback form right now, and it has some specific questions on each of those topics I talked about. We'd really appreciate your thoughts on that. That'll help us to finalize and revise this plan. You can fill out the feedback form now. You can do it online, or you can put post-it notes on your map.